Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And before we get started, I just want to say thank you so much for watching these videos. I didn't think anybody was gonna watch any of these when I started uploading, but I've been getting tens of views on each of my videos, so that's a good start. 30 views on a video that's like 4 hours long. That's impressive, I would say. Anyway, it just really means the world to me that you guys are sitting down and watching these things, honestly. And it would also mean the world to me if you would just smash that subscribe button. Smash it like it owes you money. Smash it now, right now. And then spit on it. And then ring the bell. While you're at it, you can go ahead and hit that like button. Hit it and leave a comment. Leave a comment telling me what you think. I really don't like that guy. Yeah, so subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell, leave a like, a comment, all that good stuff. So today I'm just going to do some quick reviews of movies that came out in 2021 that I missed, that I haven't reviewed yet. And I'm just going to try to do quick reviews. And I'm going to start with like the early 2021 movies. Most of those that I've seen at least were part of the Oscars video. So I'm just going to do some quick ones of those, get those right out of the way. So first of all, we have The White Tiger. This movie was nominated for adapted screenplay, I believe. And it's really well written. Some interesting commentaries on class relations, particularly in India, which is the movie set in India. And some great performances in there. The lead actor did really well. His master or whatever they called them did really well. There was also some interesting commentary on familial duty and how that conflicts with individual fulfillment and happiness. Just a real, and I mentioned this in the Oscars video, just a real rags to riches sort of American dream sort of story, even though it's set in India. So I see why the Academy loved it so much. It wasn't perfect. There were a lot of sort of cheesy moments, I guess. And yeah, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't perfect. But I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. It's a good movie. Nomadland. So we talked about this one quite a lot in the last video. I'm not going to go back over all that stuff. It was fine. The shot composition was pretty decent. Directing, acting was pretty decent. You can find more thoughts in the worst Best Picture nominee section of the Oscars video. I'll link that here. I'll link it so that you can click right over if you want. I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10 overall. Maybe a 4. Just wasn't my cup of tea. Was not that compelling to me, but watch it if you want. It's not going to hurt my feelings at all. Judas and the Black Messiah. I liked this one quite a bit. I liked most of the Best Picture nominees. Nomadland was really the standout bad one that ended up winning it all, of course. But Judas and the Black Messiah was quite good. A lot of great acting performances. A lot of great performances, specifically from obviously Lakeith Stanfield and Daniel Kaluuya. Yes, Kaluuya. The writing was great. Shots were great. I don't really have many complaints. I just personally felt like the scope was a little bit too small. That may have been highly intentional, though, just due to, well, I won't spoil it, but you know what I mean if you've seen, or even if you know the real life story, you know what I mean. There's a very good reason as to why this story was so localized to a small series of events. So I can see why they may have chosen that for that very purpose. But anyway, like I said, we talked about this one quite a bit. It was our second worst Best Picture nominee. But overall, I would give it, let's see, 7.5, 8, maybe. So it's between a 7 and an 8. Minari, this one was very cute. We had it listed as our fourth best Picture nominee, so you can find it in that section on the last video. We talked about it quite a bit again. It was really cute. It was a really good family movie without being overly sappy. It obviously went there a couple of times. You know, there was the little boy's arc is like very, you could call it cheesy, but it's like, sometimes that's fine in movies. Sometimes you can have a little bit of cheese, and it's not the worst thing in the world, unless your movie's filled with it, right? So it felt very real. It felt like a real family. It didn't feel like a sitcom family film at all. So I was pretty satisfied with it. I'd give it, again, 7 or 8. Probably leaning towards an 8, but really love the soundtrack. We didn't even pay much attention to it while the movie was on, but we looked at the score afterwards because it was nominated for an Oscar. And really serene, angelic score that was an interesting juxtaposition with the events of the film. So yeah, I would highly recommend watching that one. It's a good time. Great performances from the entire family, honestly. Nobody did a really bad job here. Then we have the United States versus Billie Holiday. We really didn't talk about that one at much length. I don't have much to say about it other than that I really liked the lead actress's performance, Andra Day. She did a great job. We found out afterwards that she sang all the songs, which was really impressive. Really enjoyed some of the social commentary. It was a little over the top, I guess, but I mean, that's what we're dealing with here. So it wasn't offensive or anything like that. I really liked some of the shot composition and editing. Particularly, I feel like the winning moment for that was again, I don't want to spoil too much, but I'll say the scene with the tree in the front yard. You'll understand what I mean if you've seen the film. Yeah, that scene was really well crafted. I have to imagine that the way that scene plays out was written very particularly and then shot according to those instructions, the shooting script or whatever. So, I was really quite impressed by that one. Otherwise, there were I hate to say it, I guess there were a lot of forgettable moments for me. A lot of the scenes just felt a little flat to me. Didn't contribute too much to her character or the overall narrative. But otherwise, entertaining, not too bad. I'd probably put it at a 6 or a 7. I liked it just enough. All right, now we're out of the weeds on those. Let's get into some recent films that have come out. They're a lot fresher in my mind because I didn't watch them all in a month. We have Zack Snyder's Justice League. So basically the story behind this one is, I don't know how many of you guys know it, but Justice League came out 3 years ago now or something. And everybody hated that movie. Everybody really, really hated that movie. And there were some defenders of it, I guess, but overall, even like the original director, Zack Snyder, did not like the film, said that it was ruined by the studio. He had a tragedy in his life that prevented him from finishing the film on time, so they hired a replacement director to handle the project, Joss Whedon. And Zack Snyder's story was always, he ruined it. He ruined my movie. So this story, this consistent story he had, actually got him a retry at making this film. They titled it Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's on HBO Max. And I have not seen the original Justice League, actually. I have heard it is awful. I probably won't be seeing it for quite a while. I'm sure I will see it eventually. But this one was fine. It's 4 hours long. So, I mean, if you want to split it into multiple parts, it's in chapters. So I don't think it's like upsetting to anybody if you try to split this movie up. I watched it in one sitting, and honestly, it wasn't excruciating. And that is the highest compliment that I can pay to this movie. I watched it for 4 hours and really wasn't too bored or restless or anything. And I have ADD, so it's not hard to get me there, and I didn't get there. So good job, Zack. Otherwise, there were a lot of things that bothered me about the film. It's not a great movie by any measure. Some of the shots were good. Like, he's not an incompetent director necessarily. You have decent performances. It's a superhero film, you know, and he tried to make it into high art a little bit, but it wasn't, you know, it was fine. Okay. It had its problems, and I liked it. All right, it was fine. Zack Snyder seems obnoxiously obsessed with putting his shots in slow motion. Like, there's some cool shots or whatever. Like, there's some cool set pieces in the film, but you don't have to put everything in slow motion. If anything, that takes away from some of the enjoyment because of how prevalent it is. The slow motion was hitting me every like 5 minutes. That was something that I really didn't like about the films. There was some really bad dialogue here and there between characters, some real cringe shit. These characters are like too edgy for their own good half the time, and that's not appealing. Anyway, I could go on and on because it's such a long film and there's just so many things about it, but overall, not a negative experience, not too bad. But it wasn't great either. I'm going to give it a 5 or 6. 5. I'll give it a 5. Godzilla versus Kong. I have not seen the classic kaiju / King or Godzilla films. I saw Pacific Rim. I saw the original King Kong. I saw the Peter Jackson King Kong. I saw like Shin Godzilla, I think. And then I think I saw the first one of this trilogy, which I didn't even realize it was a trilogy until after I watched Godzilla vs. Kong. Anyway, I've watched a decent amount of the more modern kaiju stuff, and it's all left me with a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, most of them spent way too much time on like human interaction stuff in the film, and like I like human interaction stuff, but the writing was never good. So it was like, just get on to the monsters fighting, because that's the only thing that's gonna save your film, really. Now, this film still has a decent amount of the human stuff, but it really felt focused on the fighting and the monsters, and that was much, much appreciated. They didn't waste my time. They didn't like sit me there and try to make me think that Millie Bobby Brown's story was going to change my life or something. And the fights were well choreographed, or like, I don't even know what you call it because it's all visual effects, but they were well done, well animated, well shot. So I can't really complain too much about it. It was fun. It was dumb. You want some dumb fun? Go see Godzilla vs. Kong. It's not that crazy. It's not complicated. If you want to really be challenged by a film, don't see Godzilla vs. Kong. 6 out of 10. I mean, if I'm rating it on the merit of like film in general, 5 or 6, you know. If I'm rating it on dumb enjoyment of monsters like fighting each other, 10 out of 10. Next we have Thunder Force. I think I saw this like the week it came out because it's not that old, and I didn't realize that. Boy, I just, this film got put on while I was like editing or doing some kind of something on my computer. I was busy while this film was on. I just caught like half of what was going on, and boy, wow, this was still by far the worst film I've seen this year. Jesus. Some of the dumbest jokes I've ever heard in film. If you have like a really dumb cousin or something, just send them the screenshot of this film on Netflix and be like, go check this out because you're going to love it. If you're really dumb, go watch Thunder Force because you're going to have a hell of a time. Yeah, I can't say anything good about it. It was really stupid. I guess like girl power. Cool. It's basically like Melissa McCarthy and what's her name? Octavia Spencer. And they're like childhood friends who grow up and then they don't like each other anymore, or they kind of do, and they become superheroes for some reason, and I don't even remember, honestly. I mean, I knew what the plot was doing when it was happening, but I have no idea what happened after that now. Like, I lost all of it. It fell right out of my ear the moment the movie ended. It was bad. It was bad. I'm going to give this one a 2 out of 10. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 10. Next we have Mortal Kombat. If you've played the games, or I really feel like any of the games, if you played any of the games and you enjoyed like your time with it, like if you're like obsessed with it, you don't need to be obsessed with it. If you just enjoyed playing the games, like you enjoy the nasty violence and the dumb fun of it, then go watch it. I mean, again, a lot like Godzilla vs. Kong, it doesn't waste that much of your time. It's stupid and the dialogue's dumb and there's a lot of jokes that don't land, and the fighting is the draw. And so if that sounds good to you, go watch it. But you may be confused if you haven't ever played a Mortal Kombat game. It's very reference heavy, and they clearly know who they're appealing to. It's just fans of the franchise. I'm going to give it, again, 5, 6, something like that. I enjoyed it while it was on. I'm never going to watch it again. I don't think I'm going to watch any of these again other than like Minari, maybe Judas and the Black Messiah. The Woman in the Window. So this movie is based on a book. And with like the way the book looked, at least, and you know, this is probably just Prejudice a little bit. It looked kind of like a dumb mom mystery book, right? I mean, it's called The Woman in the Window, right? But we saw it listed on Netflix the other day. My wife was like, "Let's check it out," and I was like, "Okay, cool." So I really wasn't expecting anything out of it. But then I saw that Amy Adams and Gary Oldman were attached to it. I was like, interesting. I wonder if this will be good because they're actors that I respect. I feel like they generally don't sell themselves out for garbage. So we started watching the film, and wow, I was I was really impressed. I felt like a real asshole about halfway through it when I realized like this movie is doing something interesting and new. Well, new is a stretch maybe, but it had this really like interesting mix of like campy, sort of self-aware, goofy feel with just, you know, gripping drama, is the way I can describe it. And yeah, the performances were really great, particularly from Amy Adams, Gary Oldman, Julianne Moore was in the film. She did well. And the characters felt real. The story was compelling, especially for like a bottle movie like this. It all takes place basically in one house. I was really impressed with some of like the editing and effects that they used to break up the movie. There were some like dream sequences that were really cool. And just at random times you would get sort of an interesting new effect that would like surprise you, you know, come out of nowhere. And I just really enjoyed it. The movie really had a personality, which I wasn't expecting. Yeah, really fun movie. I would highly recommend watching it. Again, it's not like it's high art or something. It's just a surprisingly good iteration of a mystery story. But yeah, I'd give it like a 7, 8. I'd have to watch it again. But I'm feeling an 8. I'll tell you that. I'm feeling an 8. All right, we got 2 left. Spiral. From the Book of Saw, whatever the hell that is. What is the Book of Saw? Is that a thing? Somebody write a book? Did they include Chris Rock in it? Is Chris Rock written into this book? Spiral is a film starring Chris Rock and surprise appearance from Samuel L. Jackson as his dad. And oh boy, why did they make Chris Rock the leading man in this film? And why did they not make him take acting classes? In the scenes where he wasn't being Chris Rock, this movie was unbearable. Like Chris Rock cannot act in any way. At least like a normal human being. He did fine when he was like being goofy or just sounding like Chris Rock when he's on stage. But when he just tried to have like a sincere or emotional moment, it was hard to watch. It was very hard to watch. And another thing, and I'm going to spoil it just a little bit because I mean, let's be honest, is this movie even spoilable? If you've seen a Saw film, you've seen almost all of them really, other than like the plot twist at the end, which this movie really doesn't even have a funny or whatever interesting plot twist to it. One of the worst parts about it, other than the writing and acting and directing and everything, was the traps in the film. These traps, basically, so one of them, there's this guy, and he's got these like I don't even know what they are. They're like Chinese finger traps on his fingers, right? And it's like a thing that like pulls his fingers, and then there's like a point where it stops his hand, so his fingers continue to rip off, right? So it's like, yeah, gross. Oh, my fingers are gonna rip off. Oh no, awful. And but if he just stops pulling, if he stops pulling and lets his fingers get pulled off, right, then he gets like released from the trap and he doesn't get electrocuted. He's sitting in like a bathtub full of water. What he has to do is he has to let his fingers get ripped off in order to remain alive, right? So he does it, right? He tries it, and it basically gets right to the point where his fingers are about to rip off, and then the bathtub like lifts to the point where he gets electrocuted, right? So basically right at the point where his fingers rip off, he gets electrocuted and dies. And that is literally how every trap goes down in this film. And that was like the interesting scenario that used to happen in the classic Saw films, right? Which is most of the time they either just don't really try to hurt themselves because they're afraid and they die, or they try, succeed, and get out, right? None of the, well, here's the spoiler. None of the people who get into a trap in this film actually survive the trap. And this is sort of a problem in like the later Saw films, but it's never been this bad. Literally every single person in this film tries their best, ends up losing the limb or whatever it is, and then still dies. And that's not interesting to watch. If you're going to do that with every single one, it's not interesting or fun or whatever you want to call it. This movie was really bad, guys. It was like, it's close to Thunder Force. I had more fun watching it than Thunder Force, but that might just be related to the fact that Thunder Force was trying to be funny, so it wasn't, and this movie wasn't, so it was. And I'm gonna give this one a 3 out of 10. Next we have Cruella. Cruella de Vil. This is the latest in the lengthy series of Disney live action remakes or retellings or whatever you want to call them. And I wasn't excited for it because I really haven't been a fan of any of these Disney live action things they've been doing. But thankfully this one wasn't just a remake. I don't know why Disney has been focusing so hard on remaking / ruining their old properties. But most of them have not been watchable, have not been very good. It is only when they do they try a new story that it really gets interesting or has the potential to be good, because you're just taking things that people already love and making them worse usually. But when you do an interesting new twist on the story, even Maleficent wasn't too bad, then you have potential to really do something. And that's what they tried here. And oh my God, it actually kind of worked. I mean, they got a talented actress playing Cruella. They have other talented actors in the film as well, including Emma Thompson, which was interesting to see. And they told basically just an origin story of Cruella. And the acting was decent. The directing was decent. The writing was decent. I really I don't have any negatives about the film really. And I was entertained the entire time. And that's all it takes. That's all you got to do. Just make your film watchable and entertaining, and audiences are pretty satisfied by that. The one thing I really didn't like too much was they did a lot of licensing songs for the movie, which is fine. I mean, I liked most of the songs they chose, and it fit the tone of the film pretty well, but I really felt like the music was just overused. Like every minute or two, there was like a new licensed song. At least that's the way it felt. And it was just like taking over the scene, and really like I just felt taken out of the film, after a while, when like a new Rolling Stones song comes on or something. It's like, okay, you could have played less songs in the movie, and I would have felt more during some of these scenes. But otherwise, some of the music was implemented nicely. Didn't have too much of a problem with that. And particularly, the big thing I was really positive on in this film was the costume design. The main character, Cruella, is a fashion designer. That's like her dream or whatever. And lo and behold, there's a lot of ornate dresses and interesting costuming that they do throughout the film. And it was very impressive. They clearly put a lot of thought and effort and work into making interesting fashion pieces. So that was really cool to see. And overall, I just feel really positive about this one. And I really wasn't expecting to at all. It's probably still not high. It's like a 6 or a 7. But I had a good time with it, and I wasn't expecting to, so pleasantly surprised. Anyway, it's been fun, and I'll probably be back in a week or two again to talk more and just say what up to your boy. So leave me a comment, tell me how you're doing. Let me know if you've seen any of these movies, what you thought of them. Tell me how much you hate my opinion. Tell me how much you liked Thunder Force and how it's actually good and I need to rewatch it 10 times to understand all the themes and how deep it is. And I'll see you later.